Yo, what is up? And welcome to the VBFA Leadership Podcast, episode number 1. I am Cody, and I am joined today by our awesome kids pastor, Colby. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. It is so good to be here. I've been so excited for this. Ever since it was announced, I've been anticipating this moment, and it's finally here.
Yeah, it is. It's finally here. A lot of planning and prep and prayer has went into it, and we're pumped about it. It's going to be awesome. It's not only for this fall and the next few episodes that we're doing, highlighting somebody very special, but we're hoping that throughout 2021, all of next year, that we're going to be doing some cool podcasts too, and bringing some guests in and talking about some different topics and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm
it's
excited.
an exciting time. I think it's a really good idea, and we'll get into that in a little bit about how I think you came up with this idea. Yeah. But right now, we've got a really special guest with us, and we are so excited. Somebody that has been in this church for years, been in this community for years, and I think that a lot of people I know a lot of people have grown to love and to know, and that is Pastor Gary Grisham.
What's up? How are you this morning?
Doing great. How are you guys?
We are great.
We're great.
It's exciting to have you here this morning, and we're honored to have you. We're honored to be on staff with you. We're honored to know you, and we're just excited to celebrate your life over the next few episodes. We got to talking about this. If you haven't been around, or maybe you're just finding out, in just a few short weeks, Pastor Gary is going to be retiring, and so we are celebrating 40 years of ministry.
4 decades.
4 decades of ministry, and we're super excited. A few months ago, 6 or 7 months ago, I was asleep, and I was dreaming, and I was actually dreaming about this particular thing happening, and some of the questions that we're going to be asking and stuff. And I woke up in the middle of the night. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like it was a God thing. Like, man, we need to do this. We need to honor and celebrate Pastor Gary. And there's a lot of things maybe people don't know about you. And there's some things that we know just because we're close with you, and we get to hear funny stories in the car or at lunch and stuff like that. And so we just wanted to celebrate you. There's some really funny stories we're going to talk about over the next few episodes, and some serious things, and there might be some tears shed and definitely some laughs had, and so we're just excited about it. And so thank you again for coming and being a part of today.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Let's just start at the very beginning. Let's start way back in 1956, right? Wasn't that what year you were born?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
August the 28th.
Oh my goodness. 1956.
And who was president at that time?
I have no clue.
Wasn't it like
George
Eisenhower
Washington?
or something? George Washington. I doubt it. So you grew up in Silsbee, right? You're not from Arkansas.
No, sir. I'm from Silsbee, Texas.
Silsbee, Texas.
And where's that at on the map?
It's about 15 miles from Beaumont, Texas, which is
Okay.
It's right on the kind of close to the Gulf, but
Close to the Gulf.
South
Okay.
Texas.
Okay.
Southeast Texas.
Did y'all have like a certain mascot, your school mascot or something?
We were the Silsbee Tigers.
Ooh, the Tigers. Yeah.
And we were good.
Ferocious. Is Silsbee, is it a big town or?
It's about maybe, I think probably the population when I was there was around maybe 6,000.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in Silsbee? What'd you guys do? What'd you do as kids?
Well, now that's
Yeah, we were just looking at some pictures, and we came across a couple of pictures of you as a kid, and there's some interesting pictures out there. Do you have any specific stories of any childhood memories that you want to share with us?
Well, I've got 4 older brothers, so I better kind of be careful. If they watch this, I'm in trouble. But with 5 boys in the family, you can guarantee there was a lot of stuff going on.
Oh man, I bet. So, you're a 60s kid, I guess. So, I mean, there was. Did you guys play outside a lot? I mean, what'd you do?
Well, yes, we had to play outside. My mother wanted us outside all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, we had plenty of pasture to go play in.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Was there anything specific that you like to do? Like anything as a kid that you like to do? Was it always like riding your bike or I mean, didn't you used to like go somewhere and dance or something like that? Didn't you win some dance competitions one time as a kid or something?
Well, I did one time, but I sure did. No, we was outside all the time. Across the street from our home, there was a big pasture, just woods.
Okay.
And we'd go out there and build tree houses and play and chase each other and do all kinds of things. Played football a lot with the family.
Okay.
That's good.
You know,
Okay.
broke my arm playing football one time because they gave me the ball and they all tapped. My brothers are big.
Yeah.
So, and our neighbors were big. So, the point of the ball broke this arm right here. So,
Oh, man.
Because I was at the bottom of the pile.
Ugh.
And with you being in Texas, I guess that means you're a Longhorn fan.
Absolutely.
We'll pray for you.
Yeah,
we'll pray
that's
for
okay.
you. So what was it like having 4 older brothers? I mean, you're the youngest of 5?
Yes, I'm the youngest. It was quite interesting. They probably don't want me talking about because surely they won't watch this video. But it was quite interesting to have 4 older brothers.
So were you like the ornery little brother that like told on them, or like you were following them around and wanting to be like them?
Yes, and yes. I did. I had to. Yes, I did. But you know, I was kind of scared of them too because I knew what they would do to me.
Sure.
So.
Are they a lot older than you? Were they like in high school when you were in elementary, or?
Yes, sir.
Y'all pretty close.
The oldest one was in high school when I was in elementary. So we were all spaced out, maybe like 2 or 3 years apart.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So did you have anybody in particular that like you looked up to as a kid, like maybe a celebrity or maybe somebody in your life, maybe one of your older brothers or maybe your dad or something? Is there somebody in your life that you were like, man, I want to be like them when I grow up? Can you think of anybody?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I think my brothers, I guess you could say, my oldest brother, Johnny was the oldest, and all of us. But I guess the person that really affected my life was my Papa Kelly. I would say they lived next door to us.
Okay.
And Papa Kelly, he was always just a gentle soul and worked hard and cared for people. So yeah, I really think Papa Kelly was probably the most influential person in my life.
Yeah, I understand that. Their grandpas are really good for kids, for sure. Absolutely.
And switching gears a little bit, maybe to more of a serious note, but with you growing up in Silsbee and having all those family members and stuff, how was your life and family like going to church? Did you guys grow up going to church? Because I mean, a lot of people probably think that you grew up in church and all this kind of stuff, but it wasn't always that way, was it?
No, sir. I vaguely remember we didn't go to church as a family with everybody. I went to vacation Bible school maybe once in a while. I didn't even really go to church that much. My mother sometimes would take me to church which she went, and but none of our family just actually was a part of a church full time. When I first found church, I was most likely I think it was like a freshman in high school.
Okay.
Wow. Is when I first a cousin invited me to go to church with him, and I went to a church then and got connected. So.
Do you remember what the name of the church was?
Yes, it was New Covenant Assembly of God Church.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Was the very first one I went to there in Silsbee, and it was kind of it was like a lifesaver to me because it was like those people, especially the men in the church, took me in and took me fishing and stuff like that. And not that my family didn't do that, but yet they kind of nurtured me into going to church and staying in church. And so I really, the Bill Siemens and the R.C. Kikers at that time were people that really had an influence in my life.
Well, those are really transformative years. You know, you're in junior high and starting to get into high school. You're trying to figure out who you're going to be.
Right.
And to have somebody like that in your life, it means a lot.
I remember times we'd always go to Louisiana, and my Aunt Artis that lived there, and Uncle Manny, but my Aunt Artis was Church of Christ, and we would go to her church if she, she'd say, well, I'm going to church, you want to go? And I'd go. And but other than that, we weren't raised in church all the time.
And that's a really great story, you know, looking at, 40 years of ministry and leading a church. And it turns out that the story didn't begin in church at all.
Right.
He was, in high school by the time he got to church. That's a really encouraging story to a lot of people who probably, might not be in church yet, or you have kids who might not be in church yet. There's hope for everyone,
That's
true.
I
mean, it's as a youth pastor, it's encouraging to me, and it also puts some responsibility on me as, you never know who's going to come to your youth group or who might start coming, and a new face, you never know who they'll wind up growing up to be.
Well, that's true. I really, the first time I ever stepped inside of a Pentecostal church at New Covenant Assembly of God Church, I was quite blown away because I'd never seen anything. The people were very worshipful, and it was just an exciting thing. I was just probably my eyes was wide open the whole time, but there was something about it that also drew me in.
Yeah.
And I just began to wonder about this.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience in Pentecost.
So, like, how long did it take you being into church and stuff? Obviously, you didn't always want to grow up to be a pastor, I would assume. Right.
Well, I attended, New Covenant, and the pastors that was there really, and the Sunday school teachers, really was influential in getting me stabilized in the Word, for sure. And encouraged me and helped me to understand about Pentecost and and being filled with the Spirit, and so I sought that, and I can remember as a sophomore, junior in high school when the Lord baptized me in the Holy Ghost, and it changed my whole life completely. Because it just it transformed me to really know that there's power in serving the Lord. And because, not to say nothing, but when I'd go home, I'd be in an atmosphere where they weren't serving the Lord.
Sure.
But then I'd go to church, I felt freedom to worship and grow in the grace of God and being taught about how to live a Pentecostal life. And in spite of what the situations that I was raised in. Yeah,
that's one thing that in youth that I've tried to talk to a few different kids of just what's it like trying to live a Christian life or trying to follow Christ when you don't have that full support system at home believing the same thing or bringing you to church each week. And it can be difficult at times.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, when you think about it, because I wasn't able to drive at this age or nothing, and they would come pick me up and take me to
awesome.
church. So it's almost like bus ministry, except it was a car.
Yeah.
But they would come and take me to church, and I guess that's probably why I fell in love with bus ministry, because I was one of those kids that they would come, get me in their car and take me to church, bring me home. So it was kind of just an adjustment to get.
Yeah. Well, and you think for those people, that's a lot to ask of them for them to offer to do that, and yet the rewards eternally that they've gained from that, that the blessings that thousands and thousands of people have received by you being in the ministry was all because somebody's willing just to take you home or just to pick you up. Yeah. And so that's huge. Yeah. That's awesome.
But these when New Covenant Church, when I first started, they would do that, and my mother eventually, began to be interested about this kind of church, because why you go to church all the time? What's so different about this church? And I just said, you'll just have to come experience it. Yeah. And so when she came to church with me the first time, she was really, I think, drawn, but also she was raised Church of Christ. So it's totally different when you come to a Pentecostal church.
Yeah, you got
but
music
yet she
going.
fell in love with it. And later on through the years, she's attended there for years and years and years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, so I guess transitioning a little bit more, from the point of you being a high school senior or in high school, at some point you had to start thinking about college. And, we know that you wound up at Southwestern Assembly of God College there in Waxahachie. Yes. How'd you decide to do that? I mean, not everybody decides I'm going to go into Bible college?
Well, in the process of time when I began to become a senior in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college, and so I had began to just kind of search out what I wanted to do, and so I was working at a department store that used to be called Ardennes, and I was a manager of toys and baby goods, if you can imagine that. But I like the toy section.
I did not know that.
I was manager there, and I loved it. And the thing about it was, I was just serving the Lord and just trying to find out what God wanted me to do. And in the process of time, I was actually the Natchez Valley CA rep for a little bit while going to church. And but I don't know, there's something tugging at me.
Yeah.
And in 1980, I was had a great job, loved it, what I was doing. And I just walked in. It was probably the month of December. I just walked in and I just told the manager of the store, I think I'm going to leave. I think I want to go to Bible school.
Wow.
And so they understood. And so I left there and just quit my job, and then went to Southwestern in December of 1980. At the very front part of January of 1980, I started the semester there. And from then on, it really completely changed my life.
Oh, I bet. Wow. I bet.
Did you live on campus, or did you?
Yes, my roommate was Ricky White.
I think we might have a picture of that.
Yeah, we think we might flash a picture
yes,
of that.
when I got to Southwestern, there was a tryout for a group that was on campus, and they were called Maranatha Repertoire Company, and it was a drama and singing group. And so I went and tried out because I love to sing. Went and tried out and made the group. So I started traveling with them, and we traveled all over South Texas, North Texas, to Oklahoma, Arkansas, New Mexico, and Louisiana, to help. That's what actually paid me to go to school, because we raised our money, then it helped to pay
through the
for
offerings
school.
and stuff. Okay.
And so the Lord blessed me in that, and it was just that was really. Dennis and Tina Whaley were the directors of that group, and they really began to instill in me about ministry, about the future of ministry, and where I was headed. We had a great group of young people in this group, and really, I'm not saying, but we had a lot of people in there that really wanted to seek God's will in their lives and be a blessing to people. And we've seen some great services, and that's my first introduction to Van Buren First.
Sure.
Because we did a CA convention for them back then when they called it CA conventions, and that's when I first met Brother Johnson.
Okay.
He was the decap, and then later on when he came to Van Buren First Assembly, and I think it was 1980, I think, when he went also to Van Buren, or around there. And he came in June, I think, of 1980, and then I ended up coming to Van Buren the 28th of December in 1980.
Wow.
So roundabout, when he asked me to come, I just didn't know how to react to him, because I thought, wow, to go to be a youth pastor at a church.
Yeah.
So I took that opportunity, and I said, prayed about it, and the Lord just led me here.
That's pretty cool. So back to Maranatha for just a second. Was that like a big group? I mean, it was a big group of you guys, or just like a small?
It was a small ensemble of people.
Okay.
I think maybe 7 or 8 of us.
Okay.
And the directors were Dennis and Tina Whaley. And we would travel and do skits and things like that. And
so y'all went to like youth camps and just people's churches for revivals and stuff? Or?
We were gone every weekend somewhere.
Wow.
We were gone Sunday morning, Sunday nights around the North Texas district. Then we would, during the summer, we went to Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, things like that. We'd plan it out. And one of those stops was in the Arkansas District Youth Camp, and then at Van Buren First.
Okay.
I think the first of the semester, around September or October, when we started back to school, we came to do a weekend service at First Assembly.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So it was, did you guys have the whole service, like, or you guys were just like a portion of it?
Yes, we did the whole service. It was like we told a story about the crucifixion, resurrection of Jesus Christ, and it was like you just have to kind of see it.
Sure.
We would at times somebody's be acting, the others are froze and they're not moving, and then we did this drama, and at every church we went to, and in the midst of that drama, we would do songs and minister, and it was really unique, but it was very powerful because we would take songs that were maybe relevant at that time and intertwine them into what we're doing.
So it's kind of a precursor to fine arts almost, right? Because they weren't doing fine arts or anything like that at the time, right?
They were. I think it was called Teen Talent then.
Okay, all right.
It was called Teen Talent.
Yeah, it was before our days.
Yeah, before your day. But no, we were trying to, because we represented Southwestern.
Okay.
And we really affected a lot of people to come to Southwestern.
Sure.
Because they saw the groups they could be in. There was also the Harvesters, which is a very big group there.
Okay.
And I think the Harvesters was probably one of the starting groups at Southwestern. And then Brother Dennis started this group called Maranatha Repertoire Company, which is just a smaller group, but yet we were unique in our dramas, presentations. We did skits, funny skits, serious skits that would try to get people thinking about their future and how they need to turn their life over to the Lord.
Do you still ever? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you ever still keep up with any of your old Maranatha friends?
Yes, I've got friends of mine that Jim Franklin, especially. Him and Cindy were both in the group. They're pastors in Fresno, California.
Oh, wow!
And some other members of the groups are either at a church, doing ministry in the church, maybe not a pastor, but they're all involved in church.
That's awesome that almost every member is still in ministry.
Still in ministry.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Pretty neat. That's really cool. Was it difficult to juggle schoolwork and then be gone all weekend long?
Well, it would have been, but
so are you saying y'all didn't do your homework?
But Brother Dennis,
if we done it.
Brother Dennis and Sister Tina told us we must keep our grades at a certain place.
Okay.
We had to do that. That we did work as we were traveling.
Yeah.
It was a big motor home, so it was room for all of us, and we could study. And do our work, because she made sure that we had a certain grade point, and she would check it. So they were very strict on that.
And what specific degree did you go for?
Well, I just kind of was going as ministry, Bible ministry.
Biblical studies,
Biblical studies ministries, but I really got interested in the drama part of it, so I'm thinking about changing it. But I kept it. But I didn't finish Southwestern because I came to Van Buren First Assembly.
Well, I mean, that was a huge. What was that like moving all the way from Texas to Arkansas? I mean, that's a big deal, right?
Yes, it was. I was really, to be honest, I was scared. I was excited, but I was also nervous.
Sure.
But I think what was good about it is I'd already been there before through traveling with Maranatha, and I knew, had met Pastor Johnson, and so I knew him and Sister Johnson, and that's basically the only two people that I really knew. Yeah. I knew that a girl that went to school with us, Debbie Hill, she was from Arkansas, and she'd tell me about how great the Johnsons were and all this stuff. So I felt comfortable, but still scared about, what am I going to do and how's it going to work out? But praise the Lord, it's still here. So
that's right. And 40 years later, you're still here. So
I know you may have touched on it a little bit, but do you want to kind of walk us back through how did Brother Johnson end up asking you, and how that whole process went down, and how you ended up actually getting a job here and stuff?
Well, I've wondered that same question. Why did he ask me? We did the summer. We was going through there during the summer camps, and so he had us to come and do a drama for the kids at the camp and do a service that night. So we did, And my first meeting, though, with him, Pastor Johnson, was when I first went to Southwestern. He came to Southwestern and preached a back-to-school revival for the college. And I will tell you, it was a revival. There was nights that we would have to carry people from the chapel to their rooms. And the services would last to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it was just a great revival. There was the Holy Spirit really fell during that week. So I was kind of acquainted with Brother Johnson at that time. And but I was scared to death when he asked me, but I said yes. But when I pulled up, I told him I was moving here. And so I went home. I didn't have a car, but I went home, packed up my stuff, and had to rent a U-Haul truck to bring my stuff up here. And the funny thing about that was that I pulled up in the U-Haul truck that Saturday, and Pastor Johnson had some men there to help me unload. And I kind of wondered what they were doing there. And he said, "We want to help you unload." I said, "Well, I can get it." He said, "No, we'll help you unload." So I opened up the back of the U-Haul truck, and all of a sudden Pastor Johnson goes, "Where's your stuff?" I said, "It's up there on that shelf on the top." They said, "That's it?" I said, "That's all I got," because I didn't have a car at that time. And that's all the stuff that I had. I had my little stereo up there, the little record player. But that's all I had. And they thought, "This is it?" I said, "Yes, sir, this is it." So I moved it in. They didn't have to do that. So I moved it in. But that was my first. That was the some men that were there was my first meeting of them. So they're probably thinking, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah. Well, that's great. And we're going to get a little bit more into your ministry here at First Assembly and those first few years that you were here and what it was like in episode number 2. But I think it's been great learning a lot about you when you were younger and stuff. And
I've learned some things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I always love hearing you talk about your Maranatha days and running around with all those people. And of course, we've seen some of your funny skits and stuff too since that you've redone Rover and some different things like that. And so we love that part of your life. And even though we weren't a part of it, it's fun to hear about it and stuff. And so
I'm saying you weren't born.
Right, yeah. Oh, no, we definitely were not.
I don't know if our
yet.
parents were born yet, you know. I'm just kidding.
But we'll get into that in episode number 2. So thanks for watching episode number 1, and check us out again. Right?
Yeah, can't wait to see you back for episode number 2.
All right, see you later.